Yo, whoa, hot tamale! It's a pay-per-view weekend, and it's two Dynamite dudes on a rampage. And I am Dominic DeAngelo of WrestleZone.com, end of podcast heat, and what else? MLW. But
Did
I'm
you
also
say podcast heat like you were from like Britain?
podcast heat. Hello there. Hey, yes, it's me, and I have my degenerate brother, Marcus DeAngelo. How are you today?
I'm doing quite well here representing adfreeshows.com.
That's
right. Unofficially. But no, man, it's quite a week.
What do you mean unofficially? Is this?
Well, it's not like ad free was like, hey Marcus, can you go on this podcast and represent our podcast? Or represent our network?
We can play it off like it was, though. Can we?
Nesha, what's up? Steven, what's up? John, how you doing, buddy? Thanks for joining us again. John was a newcomer last week, I think.
Yeah, that's right. He was.
Yeah. Is it 3 weeks in a row or is it 4 weeks in a row now?
4 weeks, baby.
4 weeks, Nesha.
I think just with you. I'm on a 5-week streak right now.
Dang.
So we're back in the business of it. And what a business we are in, huh? Holy smokes, what a business Tony Khan is in. Before we even get to the AEW Revolution pay-per-view, we have the news that Tony Khan has purchased Ring of Honor. Obviously, there's a lot of speculation to that beforehand. And now it has come to fruition. And Tony Khan has bought the ROH library. And now it looks like we're going to be cooking with a lot of different things going on. Marcus, what do you think about all this? I
think we brought it up on the podcast, didn't we?
Oh, we did.
That was like one of the options among the many things that he could be announcing. But yeah, I think it makes perfect sense, really. And by the way, it opens up more opportunity for it. Now that Tony Khan owns both products, he can say, okay, I'm going to have an ROH TV show now. And then he can take some of this overflow of talent and have another program for them.
Where I'm kind of thinking is like, okay, so yeah, I would want another ROH show, like a separate show kind of thing. I think that'd be awesome. Like very much like they have a roster that could be brand split at this point in time. But where are they going to air this at? Is it going to, do they have something else going on? I mean, that's what I want to know,
Well, it's. I think that Tony Khan is track record now with Turner, so I guess you never know, Dom.
Mm-hmm.
That's not to say necessarily that it would be through Turner, but it's he's got some pretty deep pockets, and if he's motivated enough, I'm sure that he could find himself nationally televised with ROH.
I mean, with that ardent wrestling fan, ROH's name, rings quite a bit. It has lost its luster over the past few years, but I remember, Marcus, when I first moved to Pittsburgh here back in like 2016. It was NXT and it was ROH, like button heads real good. And
Nesha's bouncing. She's at an indie show.
Yeah, she's at an indie show. Yeah, thanks for popping in, Nesha. She said she was gonna make it, and she made it.
That's awesome. Have fun, Nesha. We'll talk to you next week.
Way more reliable than you are, Marcus.
Yes, I don't know. She's bouncing right in the middle of the podcast. Dom, we just started. We're 3 minutes in.
3 minutes in. But she's doing the old Tammy. Remember when Tammy told us to wrap it up?
Oh yeah, Tammy. Oh, Tammy. Miss her.
Oh, that gem. Yes, but but back in 2016, it was ROH and it was NXT buttonheads. Like they were the hot commodity, and obviously the landscape has changed since then, very much so. But there's a legacy behind Ring of Honor. You have a whole different that library. Not only speaks to like a lot of their current day roster of what AEW has, but you had a lot of personalities coming in and out of there too as well. Like Bruno Sammartino made an appearance in Ring of Honor, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, Ric Flair I think also was there at the point.
Those are all names that you do not associate with Ring of Honor in the least. Dominic, Stephen Chambers bringing up a point that we had touched on last week is library, ROH library. I know they've got a lot, many hours and hours and hours of film, and in theory I think that they could start a library, much like WWE Network, for a streaming service. However, what is the interest like? Do you think there's a deep enough interest, or is this really only? I mean, you talk to like a lapsed ROH or pro wrestling fan. I think a good example would be how I was back in like 2009, where I had been out of wrestling for since probably about 2001 or so. Just hadn't really followed the product or whatever. I had no idea what ROH was. at that time. Do you think that that's the case with like these kind of fringe fans where I don't know that there would be enough of a call for it?
That's that's kind of the thing. I think it's gonna almost be like a reverse way of WWE, how they went, like, because the WWE network was such a big aspect of it, was the gigantic library of catalog of matches and stars and history and things like that.
And
You
they
look
have
at
the
it.
advantage of nostalgia.
Yes, they had the advantage of nostalgia. So what? And like, they're granted now, there's some nostalgia to ROH and Ring of Honor, but doesn't pack as much as a punch, because when ROH started catching fire, the Attitude Era was finishing up. WCW obviously was no more. So like, we weren't in the like big heat of like the pro wrestling boom. So, but there's, I mean, like, you still have the fans that were tuning in back then, like the fans of, like, you name it, like CM Punk, Bryan Danielson, Nigel McGuinness, Samoa Joe, all that. So there's a little bit, but Marcus, I think it's going to be more on the lines of Tony Khan. How is he going to strategize AEW and position AEW to attract new fans and maybe associate those new fans with that ROH library? And then, maybe you get another kind of matter of like a new wrestling community churning a little bit, if you will. But that, I think it's going to be more of a reverse effect than it will be a historical effect. It will be incentive for ardent fans to maybe purchase like an HBO Max if that's where they're going, or wherever. But I think hopefully the return of this will be a little bit more on the reverse side, where it's like an AEW audience is being introduced to the historical background of its stars, as well as a little bit of wrestling history as well.
I mean, in my head, it's you establish ROH as a national brand for maybe a couple of years, get it some national exposure, because you can make the argument, WWE overtook WCW's library and it worked. Well, WCW was on national television for years.
Right.
So there's a big difference. ROH was on like limited television. I think I was getting it on Access TV here at the end. It was something like that. I don't remember where.
I only heard about Bryan Danielson through word of mouth and the internet.
Right.
Until he was actually on NXT, it was all kind of hearsay for me, like of who he was and what he was. But I was pumped when he got to WWE and on that NXT brand, the very early NXT stuff.
So really, the approach is to give ROH exposure through your national television, whether it's like referencing it a lot on AEW, showing clips of old matches is like a lead up to the main event of the night, establishing ROH on its own national television network or broadcast network, or whatever it is that they figure out, and then after maybe a few years of establishing the brand, you say, hey, by the way, we've got a streaming service now, and we've got a very deep library of ROH. Hey, you guys love ROH. You've been watching it now on national TV for a couple of years. Check it out. We've got the full library. I really think that's going to be the only way it works.
Well, Marcus, I think something that plays into the favor of AEW and Tony Khan as well is ROH is its own name. Like, it's its own brand, its own wrestling promotion that has an established background. So unlike WWE, where they do a brand split of SmackDown versus Raw, and then they have the Raw titles and then the respective SmackDown titles, you have your very own titles that you can run with on each product, and it won't make either show seem lesser than. You know what I mean? Depending on the amount of time and hours that you have for each show, I think you can really present ROH in its own way and make those titles seem almost or equally important as the AEW titles.
Hey, look, I'm by the way, I'm not knocking Tony picking up ROH. I think that if you can afford to make that investment, you make it. You're not going to get an immediate return on investment, but I think that long term, he's going to get what he paid and way, way more. It's not only if he does it right, but look at it this way too, Dom. He now can make both AEW action figures and ROH action figures. He can have ROH people on the AEW video game.
Right.
So there's a lot of options that would entice fans. And like I said, I think it's gonna take some time to establish ROH in the mind of the regular Joe wrestling fan, but I really think that it's going to wind up being a strong investment for him. Dom, do you want to take some of these fan comments, questions?
Yeah, let's address a couple of these.
I call them fans. I don't know that these people would want our autographs.
Family questions.
Family or listener questions feels more appropriate.
I consider them family.
Say, look, if you guys want an autograph, just give me an address.
Would you send it for free or would you charge, Marcus?
Only $5, like Virgil, Dom.
Virgil charged you 10 at first, and then you haggled him down to 5.
He tried to charge me 10, and I was like, "Look, man, I got 5. I had 10, but I didn't want to give him 10."
Look, Virgil, you're just lingering around the Greensburg Mall just because Bruno Sammartino and Dominic DeNucci are here. You're not even on the same floor as they are.
I think he brought his own folding table, and he was like, "All right, Bruno Sammartino's downstairs. I'm just gonna hang out upstairs and see if anybody comes by." And lo and behold, Slapdick Marcus came by.
Slapdick Marcus gave him a full Abe Lincoln.
That's right. Hey, Orange Julius is on me, pal. Just take a photo.
Even at the time, I was like thinking in my head, Marcus, don't do this. And you did it, motherfucker.
I'm going to frame that photo. I'm going to frame it. I haven't framed it yet. But
it's well over 10 years old. So
it's one of these days, Dom.
You better get on that. All right. Steven Chambers says, I don't think Cody going to WWE. Numerous sources say talks has fizzled out. Wonder if Cody goes to ROH. Yeah, so that report came from Cassidy Haynes of bodyslam.net that talks have fizzled out between WWE and Cody. Marcus, from what it sounded like, too, I think it was Meltzer that said, like, these things were – I think it was the same report that Cassidy Haynes made was that Cody leaving was a legitimate thing. Like, it was not a shoot. So, I mean, like, as much speculation as we gave to all that stuff.
It was not a work, you mean?
It was not a work, yeah. Yes, if I reverse those. But, so, I mean, if you're Cody, what do you do, man? Do you go back and see what AEW and ROH has to offer or what? I mean, obviously, like, from a creative standpoint, that's where we think he should go, but.
I don't know. This feels like a red herring to me.
You think so?
Yeah, I think.
Could be,
I think we see Cody on Raw the night after WrestleMania.
Oh, you think he's still going WWE?
Yeah. There's always a big surprise the night after WrestleMania, and I would not be a bit shocked if it's Cody Rhodes.
Maybe. I don't know. It's something wait and see. It's just been such a roller coaster of rumors and speculation and reports, and it's like, where is this all going to land? So John Howard, new guest of the show, says so many damn roster cuts on WWE. WWE could afford quite the split, and make one's titles for both shows. So yeah, I mean, that's I think having the both shows, he does mean could afford to quit the split. Oh yes, I'm with you on that, John. Definitely so much. I think their titles are so diluted right now. I think I told Marcus this before. Marcus knows this anyways, but my favorite title is the Intercontinental title, and I don't give a shit about it right now. I just don't.
That being said, I think it's cool that Ricochet got it, just because I like him, and he would make a good Intercontinental champion. But they fucked up the design of it, and worse, they fucked up the prestige of it because like everybody has had it a million times. Back in the 90s when Jeff Jarrett made it to 6 Intercontinental Championship reigns, that was really remarkable stuff.
Yeah.
Wow, like Jeff Jarrett has gotten this title.
I remember
6 times.
Being such a huge feather in my fandom cap that Razor Ramon had it 4 times. Like he was the record holder for that amount of time. Right. And I was like, that's fucking cool. Like that meant something. Now it doesn't. Yeah. No, how many times does Sami Zayn or whoever's holding it? I will say though, Marcus, a bit of the outside the bracket fan of me did want to see Sami Zayn defend his Intercontinental title against Johnny Knoxville. So
I'll tell you, I am less than 0% interested in Johnny Knoxville being at WrestleMania. I have no heat with Johnny Knoxville whatsoever. I like him.
Well, now you do.
I think if he hears this, we'll have shoot heat, dumb. But I like when I heard it's like, oh, why? It's like to me that's like bringing in Judge Judy. It's like kind of a celebrity. You know what I mean? It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Nate wants to dispel any family association with us.
Oh wow, he's like,
I ain't your brother, just a fan.
Listen, we're not family, but I would like an autograph.
Why don't you go fuck yourself? That's what Nate's saying.
That being said, can you sign this Dom action figure? Dom. Let's see what else.
I'm trying to think. There was something else I wanted to say about ROH and all that. Oh, yeah, Marcus, from a talent perspective and just the way it's presented and everything like that. I know it's kind of a broad question, but how would you differentiate AEW from ROH? Would you take a certain route that immediately comes to mind, or do you think that takes a little? I mean, obviously, it'll take more planning, but just from your perspective.
So really, I think that I think it opens up some opportunities for some other belts. You could have like a United States title. That's like. Here's the point I'm trying to get to. I was about to take a long way around, and I realized it as I was getting into that sentence. I think that you introduce more titles to AEW, but you have only AEW titles valid on ROH programming. So that being said, it's like maybe Sammy Guevara shows up with his TNT title one random night on ROH and defends it. And if a guy captures it on ROH, then all of a sudden, it's featured mostly on that TV show. And then same thing with the world title, same thing with the tag titles. Just because, as you said, I think that there's too many titles as there is, and it's diluted. But that being said, with more people, in a sense, I'm looking at it as one giant roster split across two brands. And you have only titles from one of those brands be the valid sought after title. That's my thought.
I'm kind of against that. I feel like if you kept them to their respective shows and company, I think that makes them mean more. Like you keep them in that. Yeah, because if Sammy's going over and he ends up dropping the title to say, like, just for a hypothetical Jonathan Gresham or somebody like that, then it's like, okay, well, where's the where's the dynamic and parameters that it kind of breaks that wall that really establishes a brand from the brand. So I'm with you that maybe you can have Sammy Guevara go over to ROH and wrestle a match, but his title cannot be on the line.
Here's my thought though, is that if you've got huge fans of AEW, people who never want to miss AEW, I think that if you start giving their belts over on the other side or having it kind of split between, like imagine if let's say that they get, we'll use Gresham as an example. Gresham captures the AEW title, and now everybody on AEW programming is trying to get that title. All of a sudden, if you weren't going to tune into ROH, but you're a huge AEW fan, you're saying, I got to see what's going on with ROH. They got AEW's title over there. I got to watch it.
Well, I think it kind of adds to the fact that you want to get a good balance of who's who on which brand. You know what I mean? If you're going that route, you know what I mean? So it's like, if you have enough incentive to be like, okay, well, CM Punk's a part of ROH, but Bryan Danielson's a part of AEW. Then
how about John's idea down here, Dom?
See,
if the champion lost on ROH, they stay on the show. So if Sammy Guevara loses his belt, he would then be part of the ROH brand.
See, I like that more.
I think that's a pretty cool idea.
But then, like, what happens to the title? You know what I mean? Does it just get sent back
that
to
person?
AEW?
No. Like John Gresham or whoever beat him keeps it, and it's featured on that program until somebody from AEW captures it.
I don't know.
And then John Gresham goes over there.
That's not a bad move. If that could be it,
I don't know. I think it could keep the product fresh.
I think you would have to. I would want at least a couple years or something before you maybe started having that transition over. I mean, we're getting far ahead, but this is all speculation stuff anyway. So, I mean, I would want a couple years. Yeah, we're just fucking like yanking the chain here.
Dom, Steve Chambers made a good point here a second ago. Get the belt collector Matt Cardona. I love Matt Cardona. If I was starting a wrestling promotion, I would give Matt Cardona a giant contract. Come be part of it.
Look,
he's really, really trended upward since he's been released from WWE. I mean, you could argue that he is more famous and popular now than he was as Zack Ryder on WWE TV, getting tons of action figures through their brand. Yeah, he what a self-promoter. That guy, if I was starting a wrestling company, I'm getting Matt Cardona instantly.
Have you seen his t-shirt store on Pro Wrestling Tees?
No.
Or at least the images for it. He, like, usually a talent has like one graphic that showcases like the majority or all their t-shirts. He had two fucking graphics that had all his t-shirts like available and stuff like that.
Unbelievable.
Yes. And like, he's able to come up with stuff that associates, whether it's NWA or GCW or like Impact,
To me, the NWA title is still a really big deal. Like that's the title that Harley Race held. You know what I mean? It's
Ric Flair still like admires that title.
Admires and covets it. Hulk Hogan has said in the past that, you know, in 2003 when he was thinking about coming to TNA, a big part of it was because he wanted that title.
Yeah.
Because he like respected it so much. So like now Matt Cardona has that title. It's just it's wild.
It is pretty crazy
in a great way. I love that Matt Cardona has it.
See, yeah, I think there's a lot of good stuff to come with Ring of Honor being purchased. A lot of the apparently really ardent fans of ROH were very upset that Tony Khan bought it. I mean, but what the fuck do you think is going to happen to this company if
you want to just buy it?
Yeah, they were under Sinclair, which was an awful broadcast system that never promoted what they had on their show whatsoever. They didn't give a fuck about it.
I love this company so much. I don't want to see it have success ever again.
Yeah,
really, this is its best shot.
This was its only shot, basically.
If not this, then it goes the way of UWF. Just fucking dies and goes away.
Jeez, oh man. But yeah, Marcus. Anything else you want to touch about ROH and its prospects of what's to come? Maybe.
I think it opens up a lot of opportunity. I think that Tony Khan should still be selective when it comes to filling out his roster, regardless of which show it's going to be on. But, you know, to my point, John Howard's point, your point a little bit, I'm sure Steven is in on this a little. I think it opens up tons of opportunity for swapping talent, moving talent around, featuring more talent. So yeah, I think it's ultimately a really good thing. And like I said, Tony Khan, it's a business move. I'm sure he spent a shitload of money to get the rights to all things ROH, but now he, you know, much like Disney bought Lucas Arts rights, all of a sudden it's like, okay, well now it's mine, and now how do I monetize it? And I think that Tony Khan is smart enough that he'll get his money back and then some.
Here's a proposition that I think would be a pretty cool way to make ROH stand out. Even at the bare minimum, and this is how I would do it, even at the bare minimum, and this is how I'd prefer to do it, is you only have an hour for this show. Only present it for an hour. Pick a select amount of talent that you want on there, like, you know, showcase 8 certain stars or something to that effect, where it's like you really look back at like the 2013 NXT or the, what was another? Oh, MLW right now. Like, there's a matter of how an hour show is presented, and I think you can really take advantage of that by selecting a few talent to be on that show and really positioning them. Therefore, you are really elevating stars and making them to a level of like, hey, these guys and gals can really be somebody that like could be the next big thing going. And so, if you position them in that matter, then that only elevates ROH brand name legacy, and you can transition that over, and you get that more of an opportunity with less talent on AEW to do the same thing with AEW. Maybe AEW has more talent on there and more things, but if you really hone in on 1 hour, select few talent on this ROH product, then you could get some stuff cooking a little bit.
No doubt about it. Hey, Stephen Chambers posed an interesting question here. Dom, why not bring back wrestling Saturday night 6:05 like the old school JCP? I think that the biggest problem there is that your demo that you're seeking is 18 to 49-year-olds, and
it's Saturday night, baby.
A big chunk of that demo is out getting fucked up at the bar. So I think that's the biggest issue you'd bump into.
Yeah, I mean, as far as like a nostalgia feel, that's pretty cool idea and stuff like that. But you really have to focus on, okay, what is the landscape of viewership and how people consume television and media nowadays?
I think Saturday night would be just a dog shit slot to be in. Really, at this point, is if you're going to start a new wrestling promotion, you're probably looking at it would have to be Tuesday or Wednesday. No, yeah. But not Wednesday, Tuesday.
John, you mentioned you wish Lucha Underground is still around. Well, it kind of is. I recommend I write for them, so. Shameless plug, but I write for Major League Wrestling, and they have basically what you're looking for, an Azteca Underground. Dario Cueto, the owner there, he's now goes as Cesar Duran, and there's so many elements of Lucha Underground there, references to Lucha Underground. They do special shows that are very much like Lucha Underground. So check that out. Go on YouTube. You'll see what I'm talking about immediately if you just watch an episode of Fusion. And there's some shows on there called MLW's Azteca. So type in Major League Wrestling on YouTube. You'll find it. It's good shit, man.
They've got a talent there. Danny Limelight,
yes.
who was on AEW for a while.
Uh-huh.
Super, super talented guy. Reminds me a lot of Ricochet. And when you watch Ricochet, you're like, all right, so that's like the only human that can do that. Nope. Danny Limelight is very much out of this cut from the same cloth.
Let me say this. Danny Limelight is an amazing fucking promo. Like, top
friend
notch. Friend of the show. He is friend of the show.
He was on the show.
Yes. He is such a good promo. 5150, he's one of the tag team champions in Major League Wrestling. You'll see, if you watch the latest episode, you'll see a promo where it's just like, holy shit. They 5150, I do not want to fuck with. They have that identity, which is really, really good. So it's a great show. You'll really like that, John. It's only an hour to what I was talking about. So
Dom Sylvania has joined us. What's up?
Yeah, what's up? What's
Thanks
up?
For being here.
Yeah.
Go ahead, John. What is this?
Let's see. Is it produced like Lucha? Thought it made the show unique. Yes. So elements there's cut scenes that very much harken back to Lucha Underground. You'll see. Presentation wise, like maybe the matches are filmed a little bit differently, but overall, like you'll see, you'll know what you're getting. You'll see it. You'll see the Lucha Underground vibes in it for sure. All right, Marcus. Hey, geez, we're almost 30 minutes in and we haven't even got to the preview of
show.
Revolution. Marcus, first off, before I guess we get into that though, any thoughts on this past Dynamite and or Rampage?
Not a ton that's really leaping off the page. I mean, the biggest thing was the CM Punk MJF angle there at the end. Boy, did CM Punk get color. Holy smokes.
Marcus, did you like the execution of all of that too? How it all played out? Mm-hmm.
Yep. I mean, as MJF was hugging him, I knew in that instant, I was like, okay, well, this isn't ending like this.
Yes.
And honestly, I was like, I'm probably kicking the balls. And then seconds later, kicked him in the balls.
So did you find it believable that like CM Punk played into that?
Yes, I thought it was convincing where CM Punk was like, okay, this is a young kid who really admired me and he was in tears last week and it's time to stop being a wrestler and start being a human. He came out with that vibe. Yeah, he was like,
I'm trying.
Right.
To be a better person.
Right. He came out with that vibe where it's like, okay, I hurt somebody's feelings really bad by kind of being this antagonistic guy on the mic like I usually am. He was like, so I'm trying to make good for it. So yeah, actually, I thought it was very believable.
Yeah, I agree too. I thought it was really good. I think that was probably the biggest takeaway of the evening. Trying to think what else really stood out to me. As far as, Rampage, Marcus, if you haven't gotten a chance to watch it, that 3-way match between Andrade, Sammy Guevara, and Darby, holy fuck, that was great. I didn't want Andrade to take the pin, but otherwise than that, it positioned him as like, okay, he can be a star. He can be a star, no doubt.
Yeah, wasn't crazy about the giant spot powerbomb / vertical suplex.
I was okay with it. It was a little bit more believable than what those usually tend to be. You know what I mean?
Here's the deal though, and this is why I didn't like it. It's like as a shoot, if I'm about to give somebody a vertical suplex and then somebody else is trying to powerbomb me, I don't give a shit about this person anymore. I'm just like throwing them off of me so I can get out of this powerbomb situation. I wouldn't still be trying to sustain it like, oh boy.
But maybe from a physics standpoint, you're being like, maybe I can have them take the majority of the blow when I hit the ground.
Maybe. It's the idea with a vertical suplex, because everybody's like, well, both their backs are hitting. How come it doesn't hurt the guy who gives it in theory? And it's like, well, in theory, he's got an arm wrapped around the back of his neck as he's falling. There again, so does the other guy. So I don't know what to think here.
Well, the one guy that's in the vertical suplex is higher up.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
There you go, Dom.
Marcus.
There you go. Gravity. Dom, thoughts on Buff Bagwell checking into Dad's program? I assume he's going for DDP's program.
Oh, really?
I do think I heard that Buff actually had to cancel a weekend gig because he wanted to go get his wellness right at DDP's crib. Accountability
crib. Yeah, if anybody can get it done, it's DDP, and I think Bagwell, I will say, just in like I interviewed him once, and I also like just kind of seeing his personality and stuff. It seems like he wants help, and like,
Yeah.
hey, going in for that, that's showing a sign that you want to get help. So hopefully, things go in the right direction. I would love to see Buff back on his feet. He's had a rough go of things for sure.
Yeah, and here's the thing: is you always hear all this shit about Buff Bagwell, like kind of being a shit bag and a shit disturber backstage and an asshole and super into himself and all that kind of thing. Well, a guy like DDP through the years has maintained that he loves Buff Bagwell, super good guy. DDP's got a really big heart; he's a really good guy. So if he is saying like, "Hey, Buff Bagwell's a good person," then I think he is, and I think that the versions of Buff that we've seen over the years, or that other people have seen and then reported on over the years, isn't really him in his right mind.
And it's like, hey, like if you're at a level that maybe he was at there too, I mean, wrestlers and people in general have egos. So like you ride on that train of having an ego, you get lost in the woods a little bit. And
his whole life he's been this like very super good looking guy. He's jacked up. He came from a wealthy family initially, and then all of a sudden he's famous and he's making a ton of money. It would be hard to not have an ego.
Yeah, it'd be hard to give zero fucks about anything,
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully, DDP can get it done, man. He's shown it. He's got the attitude and the positivity for it. So
DDP's a good man.
Yes. Marcus, all right. It is time. We preview AEW Revolution. What a card.
What a card.
We're going to just go down in order. And if we happen to come across some things that remind us of what happened on, Rampage or Dynamite, then we can talk about it as we talk about the match itself.
Let's do it.
So here we go. Marcus, we're starting with the buy-in right away. It is Hook versus QT Marshall. Hook's been a lot of fun. It's very much kind of seems that Rampage is Hook's show, right? So I would kind of continue to ride that wave. But, Marcus, that being said, would he not be one of the perfect introductory talents for an ROH brand?
For sure. I like Hook, and it's this weird, like, it's very much a Daniel Bryan, like, grassroots sort of popularity that he's got, where it's like the fans just like him. And all of a sudden it becomes a thing, so like fans like a group of fans like him, and then more fans start to like him because they hear how excited those fans are. It's like this ripple effect until finally, like, every time this dude walks out, he gets this massive pop and everybody likes him. So if I'm Tony Khan, I ride that fucking wave, and like no way he loses to QT Marshall here, of course. But really down the road, it's like I think it would be fun to see Hook kind of slowly building his way toward the main event. In like a Goldberg-ish fashion. Like, really, how fun would it be, Dominic, 6 months down the road, if you've got Keith Lee continuing to dominate people, and then Hook is continuing to dominate people, and then it's like, all right, these two have a match. You've got tiny little Hook with enormous Keith Lee, and Hook beats him. Could you imagine the crowd reaction?
Damn, that'd be nuts. That would be fucking nuts.
And then, I mean, you build a guy like that toward the main event. When you get like this grassroots fan supported, just everybody loves him thing, that you start thinking, okay, I need to start to figure out how I'm going to get this guy in the main event. If I'm Tony Khan, I'm looking 8 months down the road to like, all right, him and MJF with the world title, and Hook trying to take it off him.
See, yeah, that's pretty damn cool. I'm really like wanting Hook in ROH right now.
Sure. But I just really do not let him stop dominating. Don't do any of that. Don't do any of that shit where he like takes a fall to support CM Punk. Really, if anything, if you wrestle CM Punk, he needs to go over.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. He's got such a neat brand too. Like, just his t-shirts are simple, and they have the old Taz font. It's like, that's some good shit. Good simple marketing right there.
Yeah, and I just like the fact that it's like, he's not this enormous guy, but he's this tough, scrappy kid who just knows how to shoot on people, and he just comes out there and fucks people up.
Judo throw the shit out of people.
I love it. I do
too. All right, next up, Marcus, we have Leyla Hirsch taking on Kris Statlander. What do you expect from this?
I think that Kris Statlander is going to win, just because I see a ton of main event potential in her. And when I say I think that she will, that's more like me saying I hope that she will, because I can see her. She's gotten so much better. and it feels like all the time she's getting better. I think her promo work needs a little polish, but aside from that, she's money.
Yeah, from the Leyla Hirsch side, I mean, we've talked about her before and how unique and powerful she is too. I really do think you want to position her too a little bit more, and maybe giving her the win at this show kind of makes her on that track. So, are you going with Kris on this one?
I'm going with Kris.
All right, I'll go with Leyla on this one, and obviously I'm going with Hook too as well. So, it's a good 2 buy-in matches, I would say.
Absolutely,
get a good mix in there starting off. Now, when we get to the show here, it is the AEW TBS Championship. Jade Cargill versus Ty Conti.
I don't know if this one needs a lot of discussion. We know who's going to win, Dom. Tony Khan is intentionally positioning Jade Cargill as a Goldberg type figure, and Goldberg isn't going to be dropping any losses anytime soon.
Agreed. So yeah, I'm with you on that. Jade wins. She had a good little funny promo on Rampage, and yeah, I think you just keep like Hook. Keep cooking with her.
Much like Hook, yes.
Much like Hook, yep. Let's see here. Yes, Steven agrees with us. Jade retains. All right, next up is the Tornadoes Trios match. The Andrade Hardy Family Office. Andrade Ídolo, Matt Hardy, and Isiah Kassidy with José the assistant. Enemy of the show versus Darby Allin, Sting, and Sammy Guevara. Who do you got?
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty obvious one to me. It's Guevara, Sting, and Darby Allin. Now, as I'm saying that being said, I'm like, El Idolo's been doing the job here to Guevara a couple times now. Matt Hardy, when's the last time we saw him get a big win? So as I'm seeing this, it's making me wonder. That being said, Jeff Hardy has kind of sort of openly confirmed that he's coming to AEW. So one way to get to the Hardy Boys is to have Matt Hardy's little team here take a loss and Matt Hardy disband them.
Yes. I think, it would cause me concern if it was somebody else, like, I don't know, somebody established, like an established name. I think you can get Isiah Kassidy, since they've been positioning him in a story of him kind of dropping the ball with the family office and everything like that, for him to take the pinfall, and then that kind of gets the ball rolling with Hardy being like, I'm gonna get the fuck out of this. There's been tension between the family office and everything like that, and we're gonna see it's Jeff and Matt together, and them more than likely going up against Private Party for their opening feud in All Elite Wrestling.
Yeah, and we're working toward the Hardy Boys and the Bucks. Let's face it.
Yeah, then that's been teased on being the Elite. So there we go. Yeah, so I will go with Sammy, Sting, and Darby.
I'm with you.
All right. Next up, the AEW World Tag Team Championship. It's Jurassic Express, Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, champions, versus reDRagon, Bobby Fish, and Kyle O'Reilly versus the Young Bucks, Matt Jackson and Nick Jackson. Marcus, who do you got for this one?
This is a tough one, Dom, because they've been doing the whole reDRagon and the Young Bucks are kind of friends now, or seem like they're working for the same team. So in theory, you're seeing this and you're like, okay, well, I think that they're going to work together. But that being said, it's kind of a tough one. Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus have had those belts for a very short period of time. So my first inclination is to say that they get the win, but I think that I'm going with John Howard here. I think reDRagon's going to come out with it.
Yeah,
they're actually a team that would benefit from belts.
I really think so too. I agree, and I think they do need to get these belts because we're talking about this getting lost in the shuffle of AEW and their gigantic roster. I feel that reDRagon has been kind of in dire straits with that. So I think giving them the belts here and as tag team champions, you can have them just go on a roll and just start fucking dominating people.
And I'm ready for Jungle Boy to go singles.
Yeah.
By the way, Jungle Boy and Hook, come on now.
Come on. Yes. Luchasaurus, where would you put him then?
I would turn him evil and pair him with Abaddon.
Okay. Yeah.
As I may have mentioned a few times.
You've mentioned that a couple times. I'm not against that.
He's a big, like, scary looking dude. His tattoos look scary. He's got like a green tongue thing going on. I would get him out of the dinosaur gimmick and just put like some creepy ass mask on him. Keep the green tongue. That's freaky. And just have him pair up with Abaddon. And like I said, Dominic, for those of you who are new to the chat, think about how great this idea is for a second. Slowly, Luchasaurus.
Feel free to take pause.
Take
listeners.
pause. Everybody, if you've got a cup of coffee, just take a sip and enjoy this. Picture like he just starts acting weird. He's just acting different, very distant. He's not doing like his weird hiss thing anymore. And Jungle Boy is like, what's going on with you? Like, what is the problem? And he's just like, I don't know, man. And like same thing with Christian Cage. He's like checking on him, like, I don't know, man. He's not being himself. They're in a dark locker room, and those two leave, and we're still
being
watching.
A bit cold-blooded.
Shut the fuck up. and he's there shrouded in shadow, just like sitting in the locker room. The camera's focused on him, and then all of a sudden a hand comes out of the shadow and touches Luchasaurus on the shoulder. We work this through a few times. Some similar things keep happening, and then we find that it's Abaddon, and Abaddon has poisoned his mind and taken him over. Now he's her monster. I think that would be fucking sick.
That would establish him. I mean, like, people might push back against it because of the supernatural-esque vibe to it, but I mean, he's a fucking dinosaur anyways.
I mean, he's a dinosaur. At one point, we dropped some orange juice from the ceiling. This doesn't feel like a giant leap for me.
You could buy into it.
Right.
Yeah. No, I think it would be beneficial for both Jungle Boy Jack.
And now we've got like this fucking massive dude who's now a creepy heel. It's that to me, this is a layup.
Yes. Marcus, a match I don't think I have listed here, but was basically made is Death Triangle and going up against oh God, help me out here.
It's Eric Rowan has joined the Death Triangle.
Eric Redbeard. Yep.
Eric Redbeard, and they're coming up against those other House of Black for crying
House
out
of
loud.
Black. House of Black. Yes, I don't have that listed on here. Where would you go with this one?
It feels like Eric Rowan is brand new. I don't know that he's all elite yet. So if he was all elite, I would say that yes, he's fresh to the company, so probably him. But I don't think he is, and I think that House of Black goes over.
I think House of Black kind of just needs to go over, right?
Well, and Buddy Murphy's new too, or whatever that dude's name is now.
Buddy Matthews.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm a House of Black. House of Black. Okay, now we're getting to more interesting items. But yeah, we both chose reDRagon, right? reDRagon.
Yeah, reDRagon wins.
Okay. Bryan Danielson versus Jon Moxley. Marcus. So
I thought they were friends or tag partners.
Well, here's the thing. We they were gonna. The stipulation was made. Jon Moxley does not align with somebody unless he fights them in the ring first, basically. Right?
No, I don't remember hearing this shit.
That was 2 weeks ago. And then last week, we kind of were like, okay, hey, looks like they're going to form an alliance. But, dude, Bryan Danielson's, like, all in heel now. Like, after he beat Christopher Daniels.
He continued to whoop his ass.
That's not a babyface move. And then Moxley comes in and confronts him. So it's looking like that this alliance is not going to come to pass. So with that maybe in mind, or hey, make your own goddamn decision. Where do you think this match is going to head? Who's going to be the winner? And but what's the lay of the land here for you?
Mox wins. I think it's an obvious one.
Is it?
He's back. He just came back to the company. I think, and he referenced the fact that he's never defeated Bryan Danielson. I think that it's pretty clear cut. Mox is going to win this one, and then maybe they form an alliance.
I don't know though. Bryan Danielson was a big time heel there. Like you're kicking Christopher Daniels, who just came back too, and not only that, he's got a bloody eye. And he's like 50, so it's not a babyface move. It's not a babyface.
Felt babyface to me.
Oh my.
No, it's of course no. It was a heel move, but I don't know, man. It's he keeps walking the line a little bit between heel and babyface. The crowd treats him like a babyface. I don't know what to think about it.
All right, you're going Mox.
Yeah, Mox is winning. Don't be silly.
Is it that silly though to think Danielson could win?
Yep. Mox recently returned.
Yeah. Okay, I'm with you. Mox. You talk to me.
He could use a big win.
You could use one. Let's see. I just want to make sure we're not missing anything here in the chat. Stephen
Have
Chambers.
Cardona come and fuck them both up, Dom. That's from John Howard.
Oh.
I wouldn't hate it. I'd like to see more NWA crossover.
I like what Matt Cardona's doing, though, specifically with Impact. I can't speak for his NWA work, but what he's done in GCW and stuff has been really cool. I think he's on his own path right now. I don't think he would fit right into this feud at the moment in time. But yes, let's see. Somebody said something about Ultimate Dragon. John Howard said Ultimate Dragon from Lucha would be cool to see. Oh, I don't know who that one is exactly. But he says also drop the dinosaur again.
Ultimo Dragon is still wrestling, by the way.
Yeah.
And I guess he's in phenomenal shape.
Well, make them all elite.
I wouldn't hate it. You know who I would love to see be all elite, Dom? Is X-Pac.
Dude, yeah. Wrestling GCW down in Texas, man.
I saw highlights from the match, and he's bumping like he always did. He looks like $1 million out there.
Get him in the game again.
For real. He was up, down, flat backing. Had all of his spin kicks and shit. He looks great.
Dude, Sean Waltman was awesome. Like as 6, I loved him as a Lightning.
I was just gonna say, bring him in as 6-Pac. Yeah, it's a layup.
Damn, Kevin Nash comes out, manages his ass. How about that?
How nice would you and I have discussed this? Kevin Nash on color commentary.
Yes. Oh, we talked about that. Drinking some wine.
Right, red wine. And
wine.
When Excalibur's like flipping out, he's like, "What the fuck?
Who is this guy? Who the fuck is he?
Why are you wearing a fucking? What's with this guy's fucking mask?"
Hey, you know what?
Listening to Kevin Nash shoot interviews, I probably laugh out loud every 10 minutes or so. Just like the shit that he comes up with, like his delivery on things. It's just fucking unbelievable. He was talking about Ming landing in on him once, and just the way that he said it, he was like, so the guy was like, "Well, how did you react when Ming is landing in? He's like this dangerous guy," and he was like, "I was like, hey, fucking easy, man." he's like wrestling's Big Lebowski.
You know what? I want him and RJ City to do commentary on get a YouTube show, have them do like this obscure, like these matches come out and they're just talking about the wrestlers. Like, boy, these guys are going out here and doing all this shit. What exactly is the point here?
It's money. It's money. Everything that Kevin Nash does to me is just 100% beautiful.
I'm with it right now. Hey, I got to make a plug for you for RJ City. He's doing the road to Revolution right now. Some quality stuff. People are getting in his car that he's not driving, but he's chauffeuring them to the road to Revolution. And there's some great dynamic between him, Ricky Starks, Orange Cassidy, Danhausen, Big Show. It's good stuff. So check it out on YouTube too. Let's see here. Next up, Marcus. Oh,
Dominic,
go ahead.
Yeah, hold on. What the fuck is John Howard talking about? I never watched Lucha Underground.
Uh-huh.
Wasn't that the dude in Lucha that had the long tongue that dropped out of his mouth?
Possibly, John. I remember only watching like the first 2 seasons, I think it was, of Lucha Underground. But like I know they introduced a lot of different characters in there. Luchasaurus that's how he got his whole identity. I think was in Lucha Underground. So yeah, I'm not too sure about that. I am not as well versed in Lucha Underground, but I do know. I mean, you will like Major League Wrestling. I will say that. So, but Marcus, this is the match I'm kind of looking forward to the most out of the whole shebang, basically. Well, dog collar match maybe, but this one's really, really close, if not above it even. I just like what's been going on here. It's Chris Jericho and Eddie Kingston. These guys are going to tell a different type of match, and Jericho himself said that he thinks this will be a show stealer, but not in the respect that, wrestling fans typically think will be. We talked about who we think is going to win before, but we'll give our predictions again. But what do you expect from this match?
Yeah, I think Kingston needs to go over here. Doesn't really make any sense for Jericho to go over. Jericho doesn't need the win. He's Teflon at this point. He's a legend. He's fine, regardless. But however, if Eddie Kingston wins, it makes a big difference in his career. So yeah, I mean, the only thing that makes sense is Eddie Kingston going over. Also, they kind of gave us a clue because Jericho said he was going to shake his hand if he beats him. So I see that how this is ending. Jericho endorsing Eddie Kingston. Originally, my thought was that Eddie Kingston just goes off on him, leaves him laying, completely fucks him up. After the match is over, continues to whoop his ass. Maybe even a stretcher job by Jericho. Then Jericho goes away for a little bit to do Fozzy and then comes back. But you thereby position Eddie Kingston as like a strong heel. But yeah, it's I think that this ends with a handshake and Chris Jericho endorsing him.
So, couple things. We happened to see on Dynamite after a segment happened. Oh, between Jericho and
Santana and Ortiz.
Yeah, Santana Ortiz gave
Steven Chambers is referencing this here
Jericho
too in the
fist
chat.
bump. Yeah, what do you think about that coming into play? Is it like a red herring? Be like, okay, they're gonna pull a fast one. They're gonna have Jericho let his guard down, and they might fuck him over. Or does that mean, hey, we're gonna see Eddie Kingston get the win? It's gonna be amicable, and they're gonna shake hands, and everybody's gonna be friends.
Well, Steven Chambers saying Santana Ortiz is making me think that maybe Kingston beats him and they get ready to do the handshake, and then Kingston is like, nah. And then
that's when I could totally see Eddie being like, "Nah, I'm not shaking his hand." Even though he offers it.
And Jericho maybe comes after him for it, and then Santana Ortiz running. I don't know. Could be fun.
I don't know. I think it leaves a little intrigue or two, because I mean, heck, I think the route to kind of go. I don't know. Eddie's his own guy, so it's like you could totally see Eddie being like, "Fuck you, I'm not shaking your hand," that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. That's what I'm looking forward to the most. But yeah, I pick Eddie as well, Marcus. All right, here's one that's really up for grabs. It's the face of the Revolution ladder match. We have Keith Lee versus Wardlow.
How many fucking matches are on this thing?
It's a stack. It's big, Marcus.
That's what happens when you have a card with like 80 people on it.
Yeah.
Or a roster with 80 people on it. It's like, fuck it. The pay-per-view is going to be 7 hours.
It's going to be a long one, I think. So we got... Before you rudely interrupted me here, we have the Face of Revolution match. Keith Lee versus Wardlow versus Powerhouse Hobbs versus Ricky Starks versus Orange Cassidy versus Christian Cage for the Face of Revolution. The winner, I believe, gets a TNT title shot down the road. Who are you picking for this, Marcus?
I'm with John Howard, Dom, Keith Lee. As much as it's difficult for me to imagine Keith Lee doing like the ladder stuff, I'm saying Keith Lee.
Yes.
He's brand new to the company. Just kind of makes sense to me.
Would that who you prefer? Would you prefer somebody else win?
Well, if there's a TNT title shot on the line, I would say I'm looking at the roster here as it scrolls by there at the bottom.
Yeah.
Either him or Wardlow. Christian Cage and Sammy Guevara would be a lot of fun too, though.
Sammy's not in the match though. Oh, you mean for the match?
Yeah, for the TNT title. Yeah.
I mean, I think so. Here's where I'm going. I say Wardlow wins the match.
Are you doing what Steven Chambers is saying here?
I'm not looking yet. So,
okay.
But I say Wardlow wins the match, and then I say Keith Lee and Ricky Starks begin to feud more so because Ricky's been making fun of Keith Lee a lot, making fun of his voice, that kind of thing. So I think they're going to start colliding a little bit more. Ricky obviously has the FTW title. I think there will be some button heads there, while Wardlow, this kind of positions Wardlow more so in a role of he's on his way to stardom kind of thing. Yes, that's my thoughts. Wardlow wins, but MJF will take his title shot.
Thereby starting a program with Wardlow and MJF.
There you go. That's a pretty good one there, Steven. I think you might have nailed it. All right. So are you still going with Keith Lee?
Yeah, I'm sticking with Keith Lee.
All right, I'll go with Wardlow. Marcus.
Keith Lee and Sammy Guevara could be a lot of fun. Who wins? Who goes over?
I don't know, Marcus. Honestly,
Sammy Guevara is brand new to the title. Keith Lee's brand new to the promotion. That's what makes it fun, because you're like, I don't know who the fuck wins that.
Yeah, I was really thinking that it was a possibility that Andrade was going to win the title last night. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I did. I just thought it was time for him to get a belt or, get cooking with him a little bit more.
I never thought for a second that Sammy Guevara wasn't leaving with the title. Like I said, it's, Tony Khan is all about protecting belts, as he has put it, the most protected titles in wrestling. So whenever somebody wins a title, I always expect them to hold it for a while.
Yeah, I'm not against, maybe a couple months reign or things like that, especially, you're kind of going against the problem of having such a big roster that you need to get some belts on people for it to mean something or for the star for it to mean something. You have to find the balance of that if you have that many people. I don't know. It's something you got to work with.
Need more people putting over the belts in promos, I think.
Yes.
It's the greatest prize, et cetera, et cetera.
I'll
defend it with my life.
I think part of it, it's easy to go into these patterns, but, so much of these promos, they follow the same route where it's just like, okay, they're beginning to talk. Somebody's going to interrupt them. And then that's it. I think it would behoove, AEW a little bit more to not have that happen all the time. Or like, somebody grabbed the mic from Tony Schiavone and said, let Tony hold the mic and you just do some talking. Eddie Kingston did that the other night, which was great. Like him and Tony were kind of fucking palling around a little bit.
Yeah, they were going to go eat some cake.
Dom,
and anybody else in this chat who has not seen it, you got to go watch Arn Anderson promos from like 86 when he's the TV champion. Like he puts himself over, he puts his opponent over, and he puts the belt over in like a 3-minute promo all at once. Where he says like, this belt means everything to me. Like he puts over the belt. He talks about how his opponent is really good, but he's not as good as he is. And it's like, so he puts his opponent over so that, and to his point, this is what he says on his podcast. He's like, because that way, then if you beat somebody, you're beating somebody. Yeah, you're beating somebody who's a good wrestler. And it's like, man, that's pretty simple psychology.
Very much.
Yeah, so I recommend everybody go back and listen to old Arn Anderson promos especially when he was the TV champion, because he's masterful. Yes. And he was only like 27, 28, and he's just out there crushing it on these promos.
Crazy, but he moves and he doesn't move, but he talks and looks like a 40-year-old man.
Yeah, incredibly.
Yes. So we didn't talk about this. How about Top Flight making their return too? By the way.
Yeah. I assume that they're going to win because of the return, and the dude was in there last, and I was like, okay, well, he's got the odds stacked against him, both bucks, and he eliminated one buck, and I was like, oh man, all right, so they're going to go with Top Flight here. Nope. just more young bucks for you. The Dom, they're easy to dislike. They're good heels.
Yes.
And they come out and they're dressed like assholes, and then like they just keep winning, and everybody knows that they're kind of like management in the company, and they keep like beating people in important spots.
Yeah.
So I don't think they're doing it because they're marks. I think that they're doing it.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I think that they're doing it because they know that it annoys people.
They know that it bugs the shit out of people.
Right. So I think honestly, it makes them hateable, and it's smart.
People are going to go back and look at this stuff and think about the Young Bucks in that light of like, damn, they're really good heels.
Yes. Yes. And they know that everybody knows. So they're like, fuck it. Let's be assholes.
Fuck it. Let's be total dicks.
Yeah. Let's keep winning. It's just, it's fun.
Mm-hmm. All right. Next up, Marcus, we have the AEW Women's World Championship. Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, the champion, defending her belt against friend of the show, Thunder Rosa. Marcus.
I'm bummed out, Dominic.
Why is that?
I'm bummed out because Thunder Rosa got a clean victory over Britt Baker on Dynamite, which means that Thunder Rosa is doing the job at this pay-per-view.
You think that's going to happen? You do?
She pinned Britt Baker clean, middle of the ring, on Dynamite.
Maybe that's what the convention of wrestling wants you to think, Marcus.
Well, look, I've been watching wrestling now for, God, a long time. It's more than 20 years, 24 years about. And in the history of wrestling, anytime you see that, you kind of know what's coming next. So I think that Thunder Rosa is going to count the lights at the end of this one.
I think you're wrong. I'm going Thunder Rosa. I think it's...
Dude, the fan in me is like, Thunder Rosa is going to win. She's the best wrestler in the world. Tony Khan finally sees it. And she's going to win the belt, and I'm excited. And the feud with Britt Baker, she'll get the upper hand in it. But no, dude, like, just logically, how does it make sense for her to beat Thunder Rosa, or rather Britt Baker clean, and then beat her again? What does that do for Britt Baker at all?
I don't think it hurts her. So I think if she loses the title, she's a heel. And to our point, I think what you said before is Britt Baker doesn't need the title to be over. She's already over. So, and now that she's had the title, she can walk around with that accolade on her resume. So I think it's time Thunder Rosa wins. I think they're pulling a fast one on you by Thunder Rosa getting the clean win or the clean pinfall against Britt. And it's going to happen again here at Revolution. I think that's what's going to happen. We're going to see our friend of the show, our top star, and Thunder Rosa get that belt, baby.
I hope so. I hope friend of the show, Thunder Rosa, pulls it off, but I don't think she's going to.
Oh,
they gave us a little clue, Dom.
Steven Chambers says Thunder Rosa, new champion thanks to Hater face turn. That could kind of happen. They've been kind of more so positioning Mercedes Martinez in that role of, hey, that's the other thing too, Marcus. Thunder Rosa and Mercedes Martinez, they had matching uniforms, outfits. Is that maybe a foreboding sign? Maybe we'll see some women's tag titles in the mix here.
I wouldn't hate it, but I would hate seeing Thunder Rosa as a women's tag champion. I think she belongs in a solo world title picture. She, to me, is 1997 Stone Cold, really starting to break out and really kind of starting to get all that fan support and prove her worth. And it's like, I don't want to see 97 Stone Cold doing anything but chasing the belt.
Yeah, I think we're gonna see Thunder Rosa get the W.
I really hope so, man. I hope so. I know that Tony Khan listens to the podcast. So Tony, if you have Britt Baker penciled in for the win right now, go ahead and erase that shit. Because Thunder Rosa's money.
Well, also what is going to be a money match, I think, is pretty much the big featured match here.
Hey, wait, one last thing.
Yes.
I think that Thunder Rosa does the job, and I think that Mercedes Martinez double crosses her.
Oh, so you think it's still okay? I don't think that's gonna happen, but okay. All right, we got the dog collar match: CM Punk versus MJF. Really great way to send home this match was on Dynamite. Punk caught a very good promo too on Rampage afterwards, like him getting all patched up with blood on his face. Marcus, did you know that what MJF said at the end of Dynamite is the exact same promo CM Punk cut in ROH years back?
What did you say?
Being the devil himself.
Oh.
And all that stuff. There's a clip of CM Punk saying those exact same things.
Wow.
And so MJF was paying homage to his nemesis.
That's pretty fun.
Mm-hmm. Pretty darn cool.
Yeah.
So, Marcus, where is this going to go? Does MJF go over? Does CM Punk go over in this blow-off match? What's happening here?
CM Punk wins. He dropped 2 in one night to MJF, and I think that he gets his win back, and we continue marching on with CM Punk. And really where this ends up, ultimately, in my opinion, is I think that MJF is going to be our next AEW World Heavyweight Champion, and I think that we're moving toward Punk and MJF in another one down the road, with the big belt on the line.
And I think you can let that simmer a little bit for a while too before you have those two cross paths again. Yeah. What was I going to say with this? I think this more lines up too with what Stephen Chambers was saying earlier in the evening when Wardlow wins the title, or not wins the title, but wins the match. You have MJF lose, so MJF is bitter as fuck, and he wants to take his aggressions out on somebody. He takes out on Wardlow and be like, "Hey, you're giving me that title shot. I know I said one thing, but I mean this now. You work for me." Blah blah blah. Kind of sets it up a lot in that regard. So and it just makes sense. MJF. He's a heel. He's positioned in a heel role, so he's okay to lose. They got to get their comeuppance, and this is, he bloodied him up pretty darn good. So
he beat him twice in one night.
Yes. So I think yes, Punk definitely wins this one.
Yes.
Let's see some comments here real quick. MJF is cool. That's what John Howard wants to see.
I don't know that WWE's announcer Cole is going to be coming to AEW, but it could be an interesting match.
Marcus, this is off topic, but I feel like we should maybe touch upon this just a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Did you happen to catch any of Vince McMahon's interview with Pat McAfee?
Very, very little. I'm talking like maybe 2 minutes of it. I plan on watching the whole thing. I'm busy, dude.
Dude, it's pretty fascinating.
From what I've heard, Vince was like, somebody said this is about as close as you're ever going to get to seeing Vince just being himself.
It was pretty darn close for sure. Like, as much hell as we give Vince sometimes in his creative decision making and stuff like that, somebody that I wouldn't mind having a beer with.
He seemed like an interesting dude and like a very down to earth dude.
And you can kind of see why a lot of the talent plays into his favor too. Like after they, part ways or they get cut from the company, they don't want to fault Vince for that. I think Vince is pretty damn likable, and like he is, like you can see, and if he was able to take a step back out of some of this stuff, maybe his mentality or bubble that he is in, like he's a very perceptive dude. Like
you don't get where he is without being really, really smart and very, very perceptive. So yeah, I think he's really bright, and yeah, I mean everything I've heard about Vince is like, he treats everybody the same. Like whether you're like a talent or just like some slapdick intern backstage, he treats everybody the same with respect. I like Vince McMahon, and we do give him shit. Mostly, I don't like what his product is like right now because I've seen how great it can be. He's an interesting cat to say the least. But no, man, I mean, there's no argument. The most important figure in the entirety of the history of wrestling, dating back to name it 20s. 1800s, 1700s, nobody has been bigger or more influential than Vince McMahon in the entire history. Just think about that. This guy's alive during our lifetime, and he's the most influential human being in the history of an industry.
He's greatly why we're partially making a living here. We're like being in part of this, talking about it right now.
Dom, if it was still just the territories, if Vince McMahon never existed and there were just like a bunch of wrestling territories around, no, we're not having this conversation because wrestling is never on like the mainstream. It's territorial.
Mm-hmm. Right. No, it's a good interview, Marcus. I definitely encourage you to give it a watch. You like Pat too. Pat's good shit.
Love Pat McAfee. It's funny. Yeah. I actually watched like the opening when Vince came out. That was like the 2 minutes that I saw where Pat's, Vince comes out and it's fucking Vince McMahon. Anybody would be intimidated, and Pat's like, dude, I can't fucking believe you're here.
And Vince had sneaks on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty wild scene.
All right. We'll close it out here with the main event. It is. Oh, wow. I did this wrong. It's the AEW World Championship. Adam Hangman Page versus Adam Cole, baby.
The Battle of the Atoms.
Adam versus Adam.
Mm-hmm. An Adam bomb.
Whoa! Wow.
What if he does a run-in?
Wow. What other Adams do we have? Is that Bryan the only
Clark.
Other one?
Bryan Clark with a run-in to decide the match.
It's Bryan Clark.
No, but they would have to call him Adam Bomb.
Yes.
Adam Clark.
Adam Clark.
Yeah, that would also be fun.
It's Adam Clark.
I was thinking about this today, Dominic. Hangman Page is the champion of the company. In theory, the face of the company, the flag bearer, right? I don't think about Hangman Page very often when I think about AEW. Like when I'm tuning into Dynamite, I'm like, I wonder what CM Punk's going to do. I wonder when Thunder Rosa is going to come out. Bryan Danielson. Oh, John Moxley. Where's Kenny Omega been? Cody's gone. I think about that kind of thing, but I don't think about the World Heavyweight Champion. And it's not his fault. I think he's still really over with the crowd. I think what's happening is we are featuring, or Tony Khan is featuring CM Punk. And he's featuring Daniel Bryan. And then Hangman Page comes out at the end, and his two little geeky followers come out dressed like him, and they have a little match, and then that's that. And like we're not getting like a ton of promos. We're not getting like Hangman Page with like super high stakes with like people bloodying him. This CM Punk storyline is tremendous stuff. It's a great storyline, very compelling. We can all relate to it from both ends, where it's like you're a wrestling fan and then all of a sudden you're not a fan anymore. Now you're competing against your hero. So I think it's something that we can all wrap our heads around. But then there's Adam Page, and it's like, well, what's he got going on? Well, his name is Adam, and he's fighting another guy named Adam. And also, here's his little friends who like him, and they're dressed like he is, and they're going to come out and have a tag match. And it's like, they're not giving him a strong enough storyline. I don't think they're putting their best foot forward with Hangman Page.
Yeah, I mean, like, the thing is, like, with Cole coming in, it was like, okay, that's big time. Like, this could be really good because we want to see Cole positioned in that, like, top star role and, you know, vying for that world championship. I think the issue is like, they introduced him and he fell victim a little bit to getting lost in the elite shuffle there. And so when you have that happen, you don't have him heated up enough for something like this. And then you have, at that same show, Hangman Page wins the title. And I'm sorry, that was afterwards. That was at the Full Gear. Didn't he win at Full Gear? I can't remember. Did he win at Full Gear, the title?
I don't know that it's super important.
I think he did. Anywho, so he wins the title, and then you just don't have him in a huge program. Like, you know, I think you need to kind of cultivate Cole a little bit more into that direction of, okay, he's in that main event level, ready to roll. He looks like he's in contention and everything like that. Whereas, you know, you have Hangman slay the dragons of Lance Archer, but then you also have him slay a dragon like to the level of like a Bryan Danielson, which he did, but like you have him do that a little bit more because it just doesn't seem. Yeah, it seems like he almost needs to like beat a John Moxley still too, or something like that. And
Look, to me, it's not even about who he's beating or who he's defeating. It's like, but let's have some substance in his promos and his storylines. There's just it's substanceless. Where these other guys are giving us something that we can really fucking sink our teeth into. It's like, what's his? I couldn't tell you what his heat is with Adam Cole.
They were like both in ROH together, right?
Okay, and he was the lesser Adam.
A lesser Adam. But yeah, that's kind of it. You know what I mean? Like
that's about it. And here's John Howard. He's saying like he's being groomed to be the next Austin. It fail. If they are grooming him to be the next Austin, it is a fail because like Austin was coming out giving these incredible, compelling promos where he was just like fucking eviscerating people, and he doesn't give a shit about anybody. Dominic, would Steve Austin come out with two guys dressed up like Steve Austin behind him for a tag match?
It's a good point. And you know what, Marcus? Like, you know, I don't think that necessarily means Hangman has to be in Austin. He's not Stone Cold.
I think he needs to be this like lone wolf fucking cowboy. Like,
I agree with you.
He needs to be more Clint Eastwood.
I agree with you. I think, but he doesn't need to be like the outlaw beer drinking, you know, even though that was a fun thing for him. I think he just needs to be positioned in the light of who he actually is, and he elevates that. So like he doesn't necessarily have to be like, okay, don't DTA, don't trust anybody, fucking middle fingers and kick your ass. He can be an ass kicker and he can, you know, have a personality, which he does, but you just elevate his personality to that and give him that opportunity. I'm with you. Like they need to establish him more so as a lone wolf, you know, to that, you know, defending world champion that doesn't give a shit about anybody, but still is kind of that millennial cowboy. That's his own person. You know what I mean? So,
you know, I saw this thing a while ago and it was like, it was some article on like advice for dating. And you know, essentially what it said, like, as a dude, here's the advice for dating: never do anything that James Bond wouldn't do. So like, like, would James Bond call a girl crying? Probably not. You know, so like I sort of put it in the same vein with Hangman Page. Like, never do something that John Wayne wouldn't do. Never do something that Clint Eastwood wouldn't do. Never do something that Stone Cold Steve Austin wouldn't do. And like, so far he's not checked all those boxes in his AEW run. You know, it's Stone Cold would not come out with two guys dressed like him. Stone Cold would not be interested in being like the varsity jock who's like friends with all the band kids. He wouldn't show vulnerability like Hangman Page did early on with like seeming to have a drinking problem or whatever the fuck that storyline was there for a while. I don't like the direction that Paige is moving in, and like I said, Dominic, it's a real problem that I tune into that program and I don't even think I'm like Hangman Page comes out at the end, I'm like, oh yeah, he's the champ, there he is. I'm not thinking about him all night. Like I should be anticipating, hey, when's Hangman Page gonna come out? Not he comes out and I'm like, oh yeah, that guy.
Yeah, no, I think there's a lot to be said to that. Like I love Hangman Page, and I think he can be like a top. The reaction he gets and the connection that he has with fans, I think it's there. You just have to put him in that light to do that and position it and give that time for him to showcase who he is as a person. Like, again, I don't think it's an issue to kind of show vulnerability or things like that. I think that's kind of part of who he is.
Different brand of vulnerability.
A different brand of vulnerability, yes. Like where it's just like, okay, he's somebody that is thoughtful or like has these certain things and maybe doesn't sometimes maybe questions a little bit of his confidence or something like that, but not to the level where it's you don't lose that like, okay, this guy's a badass and an ass kicker too.
So like Stone Cold would show vulnerability, like he got the Undertaker tied him to like a cross or whatever. Like that's pretty vulnerable. You can't really protect yourself. You're being lifted up into the ceiling. It's like, oh, the Undertaker really got the better of him here, right? But the whole time that's happening, you're kind of thinking like, well, when Stone Cold gets off that thing, he's gonna go fuck up the Undertaker.
Yeah.
So that kind of vulnerability is fine. But no, I mean the vulnerability where it's like kind of it can be perceived that you're showing weakness, a weakness in your character. I don't know that it's a good thing.
I think there's a balance to it.
And look, I mean, we all have weaknesses in our character, and it makes them human. And I think that's great. But we're not fucking doing Shakespeare here. This is pro wrestling, and I like it when things are painted with a broad brush. John Howard, we are planning on being on every Saturday. That's the plan. I'm very, very busy. So is my slapdick brother over there. But we try to make it happen every Saturday, and we've been nailing it for 4 straight weeks or whatever.
5 straight weeks for me, but 4 for Marcus here. So
yes, sirree.
So yes, this the plan is every Saturday around this time. We usually 7 to 8 around that time we get things kicking and talk about it for this amount of time. So, but as far as what's left, Mark? Oh,
sorry.
Yes.
Stephen Chambers, Stone Cold may wrestle at WrestleMania, first time in 19 years. Dom, do you see that happening?
Mark Madden made the pitch that potentially that we could see. This was like earlier on before Pat was even announced to be wrestling at WrestleMania, but now Pat is scheduled to wrestle Austin Theory at WrestleMania. What if it turned into a tag match with Pat McAfee and Stone Cold versus Austin Theory and Vince McMahon?
Wouldn't hate it.
Possibility, right?
I think if you're going to do it, it's probably the way to do it.
I guess if I was Austin and things like that, I would want more build and I'd want more of an intriguing story. I think that story kind of plays to itself, but I don't know, man.
What if Tony Khan calls Steve Austin and he says, hey, look, forget what WWE's offering you. I'll double it or whatever. You bring Steve Austin in and Dominic, you have him tag with fucking Brian Pillman. And they're the Hollywood Blondes. And Stone Cold comes out with like a pasted on blonde wig. And he's doing that whole... I know, I mean, I'm just fucking around. But that being said, if I were Tony Khan and Stone Cold's on the market and he's thinking about a match... him and CM Punk would sell out every arena. It would ruin like whatever streaming service people are using for pay-per-views would just crash. It would be like, yeah. So I would, if he,
I think Stone Cold holds a little bit of loyalty though to WWE and Vince McMahon. I think,
of course, why would he not? They made him a millionaire,
right? So I think that is part of the issue. Stephen Chambers says. Excuse me, Kevin Owens has been making fun of Texas. Stone Cold versus Owens, Battle of the Stunners. I just don't like that. I think it's too shoehorned in. Especially, like, I would be more for the tag match that we were just pitching, but just because it's just too rushed. It just doesn't have I love Kevin Owens, and I think he can be, a top figurehead there, but it's just they have not positioned. It's kind of right now, it's like the longer, broad version of what Adam Cole is in AEW, where I don't think he's got the time to heat up. Or he's at the opportunities. They just haven't given it to him, and then they keep pulling the rug out from under him. So
I think that they're doing it. They're doing it hoping that Stone Cold is going to sign on. But I think that their backup plan is Booker T.
Oh, sucker!
Another Texas boy.
Texas boy, make fun of Texas. Booker T will give you the heat.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Speaking of unexpected, do you have any unexpected surprises showing up here at Revolution? What do you think there, Mark?
I think that somebody's probably going to. It seems to be like the thing, right? Where somebody shows up. Where the fuck is Wyndham Rotunda, Dom?
He's just doing some Hollywood shit, I think. Like he was off doing some acting stuff, I think. Heck, there's been plenty of time where they've let him simmer if they were planning to bring him in at some point. But so maybe we see something like that. It's again though. I think it falls. Okay. Let me pitch it to you this way. So, do you think there's more of an odds that we will see a surprise appearance, or less that we're just going to get a straight up show here? I think because they did that.
I think there's going to be a surprise.
You think there's going to be a surprise?
I think there will. Dom, Stephen Chambers said, Cody, does Cody get booed if he comes out? That's the question. I could honestly see him getting booed if he comes back.
You know what? If Cody comes back, though, I think you really got to dig in and just go full blown heel, right? If you are Cody,
I would think so. Dom, here's the answer: Stephen Chambers, the Briscoes.
You think the Briscoes coming in?
I think so.
Where at? Like, where would you throw him here?
Maybe FTR comes out and does a promo. I don't know.
But FTR's kind of aren't they feuding with reDRagon? It seems a little bit more.
Yeah, I don't know. Mm-hmm. Maybe this is how you get it off of them.
I don't know. The Briscoes are good shit, though.
Dom, let's answer John's question here, and then we got to sign off. You piece of shit. I'm busy.
Me?
Yes. Not John. Jesus,
yeah,
Dom. You think I'm calling John a piece? I love John. Dom, you're a piece of shit. John is saying, not sure if you answered this on the last show. Thoughts on EC3 and Braun's show? Braun and EC3 they're starting their own little something.
They're free the narrative stuff. So it's like more so on the things of that. People have been like making associations with like political stuff and things like that. I think what EC3's been presenting over the course of time since he's left, since he was released with WWE, he's been doing quality work and like really honing in on like his character and things like that, and like kind of going outside the box of how wrestling is presented in certain ways. I think he's a very smart person, and I think he knows what he's doing. I think it's like, I don't know all the certain details, and I don't want to dive too much into this because people have been projecting some things out there that I'm not sure is concrete or not. So, but as far as EC3, I like his work, and I think he's a smart guy for wrestling, and he's honed himself to where, EC3 was a character based off of Dixie Carter, and look at where he's at right now. So it's just like, he's somebody that knows what he's doing. And I think, from this, it's definitely a unique take on wrestling and how to present it. I hope it works out. And I think, he's given these guys opportunities like Bill Carr, from Team Tremendous, he's been a part of. He did this really neat vignette promo thing that was really like creepy and weird. Like he's watching the Cannibal Holocaust or whatever that shit was called, and like just eating cereal out of a pot. It was like weird, but it was like fucking good. Like I was like, this guy's really good. So I mean, I don't know. I try not to look at it from a perspective of maybe what people are getting the impression of, or if there's a clear cut thing with it. But like, I like EC3 and what he's been presenting for the most part. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on it, if that makes any sense, John. Roundabout way.
Well, that took about 45 minutes there, Dom. That answer. Yeah, I mean, I'm honestly shocked that Braun Strowman wasn't brought in somewhere. Just because, it's much like Wyndham Rotunda, tons of equity in him, just based on the fact that he's had his face all over TV for years with WWE, action figures, T-shirts, et cetera, video games, where it's like this dude's face has been all over the place, and then all of a sudden he's just gone, and it felt like nobody was interested. So yeah, I mean, good for them getting their shit going on outside of the business, and more wrestling the better.
Yes, agreed.
For everybody.
Yes. Let's see. Yeah, I'll have to look up the Lucha Underground, dude. I think I kind of know what you're talking about. I remember seeing like a black tongue and that kind of thing, and it being like really creepy looking.
It sounds grotesque.
Yes. Like you, Marcus. But you know what's not grotesque? Is stuff going on in ad-free shows. Why don't you talk about that a little bit, huh?
What a transition, Dominic. What a transition. Yeah, man. We're keeping very, very busy over there. All of our members say the same thing all the time, where it's like, you guys pull out all the stops. It's like, we do. We do not back off. We've got some really awesome guests coming up on adfreeshows.com. I can say recently something really cool that happened was every other Sunday we do Rebels Happy Hour. So Reba from AEW, she comes and has some drinks with our members. And Dom, guess who dropped in this time?
Well, I'm gonna guess again. It's Lance Archer.
That's correct. You got the inside intel, but yeah.
No, Lance... you said this last week.
Oh, did I?
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay. It was Lance Archer, Dominic. He came in, had some adult beverages with the crew and hung out and answered questions, and it's really cool, man. And we've got Chris Van Vliet, famous interviewer, announcer, YouTube and television personality. He's coming in to do a Q&A with our members, and I mean, the trend just continues, Dom. A couple, let's not name them because I think we're still waiting to surprise people, but man, we've got some huge, massive Hall of Fame names coming in to chat with our members, so it's really cool. John Howard's asking, whereabouts you guys doing these get-togethers? John, check out adfreeshows.com. It is related to Conrad Thompson's podcast network. Conrad Thompson, if you're unfamiliar, is Ric Flair's son-in-law, who he's started a podcast empire. He's done incredible work, great personalities. And Dominic and I both work for that network. Dominic works for a sister network called Podcast Heat. But in any case, yeah, check it out. And by the way, check it out with a free trial. Go to adfreetrial.com. You get a 10-day free trial. So go check it out for yourself. It's really, really cool. It's a lot of fun. It's a wrestling community. So all these people have become really good friends. Actually, a lot of our members now are buddies away from ad-free shows. Like, they'll get together.
They have get-togethers, yeah.
Yeah, they have get-togethers and hang out. So we built a really cool, fun community. And if you're a wrestling fan and you like what we're doing, you like podcasts, you like talking wrestling, you like hearing from other people who love wrestling, ad-free shows, community, man, it's where it's at.
What level do you get when you go to the Discord? Are you aware of where you get access? To the Discord?
I'm really not familiar with the Discord situation. I've heard it discussed in some of our meetings and stuff, but really, with my job duties, it's one of those things where I'm just very disconnected from it. So that's a good question, Dom.
But it's a good that's a good communal environment too. Like, is that everybody chats on the Discord with one another?
I feel like if you're just a member, you can get in on the Discord chat.
Yeah, I would think.
Member at any level. I assume so.
So it's a neat dynamic, though. Definitely a neat dynamic.
Yeah, and not to mention, and this will be the last thing I say about it, is that like part of this network. Let's see, you've got Arn Anderson, you've got Eric Bischoff, you've got Jeff Jarrett, Bruce Pritchard is in there, Tony Schiavone, good old JR, Jim Ross, and I'm leaving somebody off.
Kurt Angle,
for crying out loud. I mean, we've got all these great personalities, and guess what? They do Q&As once a month, or somewhere in that neighborhood. They do regular, semi-regular Q&As with our members that are at the highest level. I think it's highest and second highest level, which would be Top Guy and my push members. They do Q&As. You get to just like we're doing right now, except it's live. You can actually, it would be like me and Dom asking each other questions, so you're in these chats with these people. It's really cool. So yeah, if you're a wrestling fan, take your wrestling fandom to the next level with adfreeshows.com. Dominic, what's going on in your world?
Oh, let's see. So, Podcast Heat, I work for, and the Extreme Life with Matt Hardy has the Becoming Broken series, where Matt is diving in to him becoming broken Matt Hardy. way back in the TNA days of like 2015 and everything like that. So he's getting in that discussion that's very interesting, and what's transcendent wrestling personality in the Broken character. So give a tune into that. Wise of Wrestling has been great. Good feedback in that regard. Such a unique outside perspective that people wouldn't really think about. Two Wise, Kim Orton, wife of Randy Orton, and Giovanna Angle, the wife of Kurt Angle, just having a happy hour with John Alba and drinking and chatting away. It's good stuff. So and they talked about food, and that episode sure is wild. So you want to check that out. I also work for the Leading Right and Turning Left podcast with NASCAR legend Hermie Sadler and Virginia Senator Bill Stanley, as they talk about small business and everything like that. They have some interesting personalities from NASCAR to politics going in on there. So if that's more of your ilk, take a look at that. As far as WrestleZone is concerned, we have an interview with Powerhouse Hobbs as he talks going into the Face of Revolution match. So tune into that one. If you want more AEW content before the show kicks off here, whether you're listening to this live or tomorrow, Bill Pritchard, Colin Tessier are joined by two other guests to preview AEW Revolution as well. So give that a listen as well if you want more AEW content. As far as what's on my landscape, I am an open book. So I will be headed to WrestleMania in Dallas. So I'll be doing.
If you guys are going to be there, look up Dom.
Say howdy doody to me, and maybe we'll have a good rootin' tootin' good time down there. Down in Texas.
Hooey.
Ooh, doggy. So I'll be there on the beat. I don't know exactly where I'll be at and where I'll be going, but I'll be there, and hopefully on the beat of making some news. So there we go. That's what's on my tap for me, Marcus. I have a lot of FOMO that I'm not down there for Revolution this time around in Orlando. But heck, you got to kind of balance things out. So I'm planning to go to Double or Nothing week there coming up in May. So I'll be in the mix there, hopefully. So
busy boy with all your travels. Dom, before we sign off, let's just address one other thing here.
Mm-hmm.
Archer, AEW, according to Stephen Chambers, his contract expires at the end of the month. And what do you think happens? Resign?
I think he resigns. And yeah, to John's point, it'd be kind of neat to see him be in ROH. Maybe he's one of those select few that you position over there. I would like to see him in there. Get Hook in there. Get a lot of different other guys that you want to put up into that level of like, hey, you know who I'd like to see as a tag team in ROH? Butcher and Blade. Get those guys like back.
Boy, but the Butcher is in tremendous shape,
dude. The Butcher. I want him to be a friend of the show, Marcus. We got to get him on here.
Let's get him on the show.
Butch. I want to talk Christopher Cross with him. I want to just
Buffalo Sports,
whatever, man. I'm game for whatever. I want to get the Butcher on the show.
I'll set it up, dude. And by the way, guys, we've had Thunder Rosa on the show. We've had Eddie Kingston on the show. We've had Danny Limelight on the show. So go back into the archives, if you will.
We've had Crowbar, of
course. How could I forget? Awesome Crowbar. So we've had some really cool guests on this show. So go back into the archives, check it out. Stay tuned, guys, because we got more coming. We're not going anywhere. We're trying to be here every Saturday.
That's right. Hey, John. Okay, I got to touch upon this because he's one of my favorites. Killer Cross. That'd be awesome to see him coming to AEW. I think he would be really good. Could you imagine him and Bray Wyatt together, Marcus? Man. That'd be nice.
Yeah, I mean, there's a little space now, Dom, with ROH coming on. So sky's the limit, baby.
Mm-hmm. And to add on to that, John, Killer Cross is going to be in Major League Wrestling. So go to youtube.com and go to YouTube, type in Major League Wrestling. You'll catch all of Fusion. There's a little vignette of him coming to Major League Wrestling. So he's there. So that's where you can get your taste of Killer Cross for this moment in time.
John, while you're over there, make sure you check out Alexander Hammerstone. He's a badass dude. Super cool. Who's their champion, though?
Alexander Hammerstone, baby.
Oh, who did he beat for it, though?
Jacob Fatu.
Jacob Fatu of the Fatu family.
You were going to like him a lot, too. Man.
Badass dude. So, check out MLW. I'm a fan of MLW. I've seen very little of it, but every time I watch it, I'm like, this is fucking great.
It's quality stuff.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing over there. So, and I've done their weekly recaps for going on 2 years now. Over 2 years. this point. So I've been in tune with it for that long. So just I highly recommend it. So
all right, Dom, the tape machines are rolling. We got to go.
Yes. Hey, guess what? We'll see you guys next week after AEW Revolution. We'll talk about all about the happenings, what's going down, just like we always do each and every week. Marcus, it's so wonderful to join you. I have not seen you in person since Christmas. What the fuck?
Yeah, we live very close to each other, but but no, you still have my Christmas presents, so
Still got your presents?
We got to figure this out.
The tree's no more, but the presents are still here, baby.
I'm just gonna swing by and get my presents and immediately
Hop
leave.
on in,
Yep.
and then just heading on out. I still got Piper's gifts too.
All right, well, we'll make it happen. All right, guys, we'll see you next week right here on 2 Dynamite Dudes on a Rampage.
See you guys.
See you guys.
Enjoy Rampage or enjoy.